Welcome to the new episode of New Gamers Podcast. My name is Anna and I work as a digital educator and EU project manager at All Digital. I'm really excited to introduce our guest today, Nikolina Finska, someone whose career journeys is nothing short of inspiring. So, Nicolina, I'll give a short overview of your profile, if you agree. From C-level executive and entrepreneurs to author of the book Modern Game Testing. You are also consultant, public speaker, and educator. It's rare to meet someone who has contributed to the gaming and the tech industry in so many different ways and with such an impact. And if that's not impressive enough, Nicolina, I know that you are also a strong advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion, especially when it comes to empowering underrepresented voices in tech and gaming. So, Nicolina, it's such a pleasure to have you here today.
Hi, Anna. Thank you so much for inviting me. And thank you for a wonderful introduction. I feel like, oh, this sounds really good. So thank you so much for inviting me here and opportunity to talk a little bit more about my journey in gaming and the things I do. And I really appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you, Nicolina, to join us and to give the opportunity for our audience to hear about your story. So, if you agree, I will start with the first question, and I'm actually very curious to know how did your interest in gaming start, and where has it taken you today?
Yeah, so I'm you can't see me, but I'm a bit older. So my interest in games started, uh, when the industry was fairly young. So it was like late 70s, early 80s. And I was always a curious child, I was never that interested in toys for girls. I would get like dolls as a gift, but I was more interested in see how dolls are working than actually playing with them. And I was lucky enough that somebody in my family had access to one of the first personal computers. And I started to play games for the first time as a child. I think it was like ZX Spectrum, and I was hooked. I was forcing my parents to get me one somehow. It was really difficult because we lived in a communistic country in ex-Yugoslavia. It wasn't easy just to go and buy a computer. So I remember also that my uncle from the United States brought me a little handheld Pac-Man toy, and I've just played it until it completely broke. So that love for gaming was born already as a child. Um, but of course, in that stage, you don't have even conceivable path how to get into the industry. Nobody around it. And industry was so early anyway, so it's just something that you love and enjoy and relate to, but there was just no feasible path on how could I one day make games. It was something that was almost like a dream that you don't dare to dream because you don't even know how to dream it. So in that way, it was put aside. But I was always a gamer. Every time I got a strong interest in technology, in computers, I got my own PC as soon as I could. And that was already like, I think it was like late 80s, early 90s when I managed to get my own stuff at home. Um, and I will always consider myself a gamer. So although it was pretty challenging sometimes to actually get games or play at home because it was also a little bit misunderstood. What are you doing? With my parents, like, what are you doing? You know, why are you spending your time clicking something on this machine? um, but yeah, and then I started my career in Croatia, but I moved abroad in the late 90s. And life and work brought me to Finland in about, I think it was like 2005. And I realized that there's a really big gaming industry there. And that's how my professional journey in gaming started. So I was lucky enough that I got a job working for Nokia, and they already had a gaming department there, which is called Engage. And I started to work as a tester for them. And I was like, oh, I could actually have a career in gaming. And after that, I was again lucky enough and let's say daring enough to risk my career in IT and move to work in Rovio, which was still in the early days. They already had lots of traction and success with with Angry Birds, but that it was like 2011, 2012, so still early days. And that was kind of really, let's say, the dream come true. And for me, I was like, okay, now I'm in the gaming industry. I'm not leaving. I'm here to stay.
Yes, yes. And you also named an important brand at that time. I mean, Nokia, you started to work for one of the most important tech company in the
Yeah.
early 2000s. Could you elaborate on that? Like, tell us something more about. I remember, for example, that Nokia was providing the very first gamification for cell phones. I remember Snakes. Have you behind on that game?
No, I can't claim that credit. That was really before my time. So I was small working, and I said my contribution was relatively small. I was working just testing certain things and being a beta tester for the department, but not. And I can't claim the glory of the snake, which is legendary.
Yes,
But
yes.
Nokia actually had this idea so early on that their phones came with pre-installed games, and then they had a gaming phone called Engage as well. So they and it helped development of the mobile gaming industry in Finland because they had this foundation and base, which was built in Nokia. I mean, I was lucky enough. I started working in Nokia. I tried many different ways. And then they were looking in one stage, they were looking for engineer who spoke fluent Croatian. So I applied. I basically said, I'm not an engineer, but I speak fluent Croatian.
Yes.
And luckily enough, Croatian or native speakers was so rare in Finland at that stage that they gave me a chance. They gave me a test. I passed the test, and that's how I got a job. And that was like I really loved it. And it was localization testing. From localization testing, I went into software testing. I became really good at software testing. I was even nominated from the Finnish Testing Association for Tester of the Year. And that helped me open doors in the gaming industry because I applied for so many jobs in the gaming industry as well. But let's say this really expertise in testing and QA opened doors for me to enter the gaming industry because these days it's always hard to enter the gaming industry, but those days was even harder. Let's put it that way.
Oh yeah, I can imagine that was quite challenging, especially for a girl.
Yeah, it was a girl and a foreigner. So
Yeah.
I remember I interviewed for for one company, and I won't name them, but they became quite successful later on. And I was on job interview. I said, like, they told me, "You are the best candidate based on the interview, but we don't have a single woman in our company, and we don't have a single foreigner." And it's like, hire me. You have both.
You have
There was
options.
yeah, but it was too much. So it does work against you because people were worried hiring a woman in a male dominated jobs. There was always a bit of a concern. How is it going to affect the team? And it gave that little bit layer of things that to be it was a little bit harder, and you had to prove yourself a little bit more.
And can I ask you, this is just a kind of beside question, how did that experience shape on your perspective?
At first, I was brought up pretty much that I'm equal, or at least I always thought of myself as equal. I never saw myself as less capable or that I can't do something because I'm a woman. Um, but then, life kind of teaches you or starts to push you in where you see that there's a difference how you're treated. And for me, there are two ways how you can do it. And I had to make my own choice. You can pretend it doesn't exist and became, let's say, maybe frustrated or move aside to the industry that we're more accepted, or you fight and try to make it better, not only for yourself, but for the other people as well. Because, could see I'm not the only one who, it's not only women who might have a bit of a different treatment or experience bias. Try to understand why, like, first, I try to understand why is this happening, why people treat you differently, why you have to do things three times better than somebody else. And then you try to fix it or try to do everything in your power to make it better, is for yourself, but also for the others as well. Because also saw firsthand how much we lose when we close the doors to people who are different from us as well. How much we lose in business, how much we lose in teams, how much we lose in everything. So it's not only that it's good thing to do, it's also like right thing to do to give everybody a chance, but it's also a right thing to do for the business as well. And that's one aspect that people don't often think about.
Mm-mm. And that's mean to have a businesswoman mindset, and you are already, ahead on your path. I have to say. So that's fascinating what you are sharing with us, and I think it's very important to highlight also this kind of situation. And related to this, I would like to have a step back. So I think you had support, to push you farther in this career. So I'm wondering who supported you the most in this interest in the gaming field.
Well, as a child, it was a bit of a mixed bag. My parents were very concerned. My mom was very worried I won't get married because, I'm interested in all the wrong things, as moms are. But my grandparents were very supportive. My aunt and uncle were very supportive, and they really nourished that inner geek. And my uncle was, my parents banned me from reading comic books because they're bad influence. But my uncle was like, here are the comic books for you. Read them. I know you love them. Uh, so and so there was lots of people in my family, like my cousin's husband, who was an engineer. They were struggling to get kids, and he saw me a little bit like his kid, and he was the one who gave me the first access to computers, and he really was, let's say, nourishing my curious mind. He encouraged me to, explore and go out of the box and be myself. And it means a lot because I could kind of like understand my parents' concerns, but, as a young mind, as a child, it means a lot that you have somebody with whom you feel that you relate, that can understand that you are a little bit different and have different interests and, encourage you and tell you this is nothing bad. It's like go and see where it takes you. So I'm very grateful to them, and I'm still very close to my aunt. She lives in the United States for a long time, but we're still in touch regularly, and it feels like it brings this bond as well. That's we still understand each other really, really well. Even it's like we're both adults, and I'm adult, but there's still this kind of closeness to people who help you out on your journey when you're so young.
Oh, yeah, that's very important to have this kind of connection, especially with the family that definitely can support a young girl in this case to achieve the goal, and especially in the field that she liked the most. So yeah, and I also guess that these strengths somehow your self confidence, right?
Yes, yes, because it's like Sometimes it feel you feel, especially those days, you feel a little bit, what am I doing? You feel a bit alone. But the having this support, it gives you this boost, or let's say maybe that strength that you need to face your fears and take that step. So, and then if you fail it, you can talk to somebody who will still support you. They won't judge you, and they wouldn't say, "Oh, I told you so. It's a bad idea." It would somebody who's going to tell you, "Oh, okay, you failed, but what did you learn? How are you going to do it better next time?" And I have to say, which might sound odd, but because I was brought up in communism, which had lots of very negative things, one of the things that was, let's say, maybe positive, that there was lots of women in a position of, scientific positions. There were lots of female doctors, engineers. There were lots of women who were doing what was considered male jobs. And in that way, that also kind of give you a little bit, okay, I don't know any woman who is a game developer, but it gave you an idea that, if woman can be an astronaut, I might be able to do this as well. So it gave you this little bit of a idea that certain things can be achieved. And I think it's important to also have role models, that you can see that things can be done, because it's a bit easier then, because sometimes you really feel, what am I doing? When you walk into the room and you're the only woman, and then come to your work and you're the only woman in your department, sometimes it feels, I wouldn't say uncomfortable, it feels odd. But knowing that there are people before you who did it, it gives you this strength and confidence that you can do it, and you do, that you belong there, that your place is there, that this is how it should be done, and there should be more of us in this room. So yeah, I think it's important to get support, and I think it's very important to have role models as well.
Yeah, I think, yeah, models uh, are very important for any kind of role. So, kids, so girls, boys, whoever actually at any stage of their life could have someone that can inspiring to better achieve what are what is in the willing,
Mm.
to to do for, I mean, not just in the gaming field, but in any kind of field. But
Yes.
talking about our topic, so gaming and the technology field. I would like to know, and that's my next question, because also, talking about missing of this role model, what have been the biggest obstacle you have encountered along the way as a woman in a predominantly men field?
Um, the- there are lot there were lots of obstacles, and it's hard to, we could be here for hours and hours. I think it's but we don't have the time. But I think it's that, let's put this way, the higher you go, the more obstacles you face. Usually when you start your career and you just, doors are open, most of the people will be very supportive. You will not see that much obstacles. But when you start to develop, when you start to form your own opinions, when you start to gain experience, when you want to make next steps in your career, then the obstacles get much harder. And then you see more and more of how you actually treat it differently. Um, so there was always like issue, like when you were trying to get a promotion, it was always very painful. I would have to do the actual job for maybe a year or more before I got the title, and I would never catch up with the salary. My salary would never be managerial salary, but I did a managerial job for 2 years, but they still left me on a salary before. And then when you speak up for yourself, then you are considered opinionated or greedy, although just asking what men in my position would get automatically. So it's always this that if you speak up and you want to for promotion, you are considered being, if it kind of affects your reputation, you're not considered a nice person. On the other hand, if you are too nice and never ask, you are considered not managerial material because you are too nice. So can she
Yes.
really handle challenge? So there's never this perfect leadership trait in a woman. Um,
Yeah,
but
this is
also
just because of the gender biases.
yes, yes,
Mm.
and the
Just
bad
to
part.
underline this, because this shouldn't be normal. I mean,
No, no,
wow.
no. And it's sad that it affects women as well, that it's not only men who have this bias, it's
Mm.
other women as well. So it was, these were really, really a hard things. So kind of in a corporate environment, it was very challenging. And then, of course, there are people who are there who support you, who believe in you, who encourage you. Um, and it's problematic with people who don't do that or who make it harder for you. They're not necessarily, bad people or evil people. They just have subconscious bias and they act on it. And, it's subconscious. And it's like, what can you do? So there's not, you can't really do the subconscious bias training for them because they don't understand they have it. So it became really frustrating sometimes. And then, one of the reasons as well where I decided like, why wouldn't I just do my own business, become an entrepreneur, and then I can kind of set up my own terms about what kind of work environment you want to build. But it was another time when I faced bias because like I became an entrepreneur in a time when there was lots of gaming startups sprouting out in Finland. And my male colleagues, when they were opening startups, everybody said, congratulations, you're going to do great, amazing, I root for you. When I opened a gaming startup, I was faced with questions like, are you sure? Are you sure you want to do that? It's really hard. No, it's really challenging. Maybe you should consider going back to the corporate route. I was like, why am I being told this? Why am I not encouraged? Why is it considered difficult for me? And it wasn't mean, it wasn't meant as an insult, but you can see the bias. There was no congratulations, there was no rooting for me. And then I tried to raise money. That's another level of bias that it's horrible. And that's probably one of the worst problems you face in business today as a female entrepreneur, especially in the tech spaces, that we are faced with so much bias, subconscious and conscious, that it sometimes it feels almost futile. Sometimes you feel that you're really, fighting the windmills because it's exceptionally hard. The access to money is exceptionally hard. And how women as perceived as entrepreneurs, it's something that we would really need to work very hard, all of us, and have a deep introspective. But unfortunately, that's again usually a problem that's pushed on the female entrepreneurs. I like to say that we are over mentored and underfunded. We don't need so much mentoring. We need money,
Yes.
that's a problem. Fund us. Stop mentoring us. Mentoring is really important, don't get me wrong, but, I wish that we would mentor more male founders, especially young male founders, and give more money to female founders because we are pretty well versed in leadership and risk management. Just give us support when we need it, give us mentorship that when we need it, but also give us funds. Um, because like that was probably this is where I'm now. I love being an entrepreneur, and I really found myself in entrepreneurship, but sometimes it makes you really frustrated and angry. And I wish I could do more about it, that, to open more doors and to encourage more female entrepreneurs to step in and to shake up the startup world, if possible.
Yeah, well, I see that you had to overcome blocked doors. They come from different sides, considering the management of the corporate, the time you have been an employee, from now that maybe you are or you had to overcome also a founding problem, and all this kind of stuff that are strictly related to entrepreneurship. But I know that you have success stories, so I guess that you find a way to overcome this all of this situation. And I'm wondering how did you overcome this kind of obstacles during your path?
Um, I always come, like, I guess it's my way of thinking. It's always coming from the way, like, how can I see it as a problem, as a challenge? How can I solve it? So I try to remove myself emotionally. I'm fully aware that, sometimes it's hard to remove yourself emotionally because it is
Oh,
about
yes.
who you are. It is about that. And it's hard to be non-emotional because it's literally about who you are. But then it's like, okay, I want to solve this problem. How can I solve it? And when you take the distance and you don't let the anger or frustration take over, but you start to think constructively how to get over it, then sometimes solutions can be found. Sometimes it's very hard. Those solutions are not easy. I bootstrapped. I spoke, like, when I get my first funding, I think I spoke with over 100 people. And then you had investors changing their mind and handling like lots of little fires. But I think it's also persistence that I feel like this is the life I want to lead. I want to live my life to the full. I want to really, that my skills and my knowledge keep developing, and that what I know, I want to pass on to the others. There was a moment when I was so frustrated, I even considered leaving the gaming industry. But I was like, I felt so sad because I was like, I know so much. What am I going to do with all of this knowledge? I would feel sad that it just, you know, goes nowhere. And then it kind of brings you back. So I would say that lots of determination, and even if when you understand that it is about you, and it's okay to be emotional, but don't let this swallow you. Be like, okay, now I wipe my tears and just take it as a problem. How can I solve this problem?
Yes.
And you will find a path. Sometimes you can't solve it, and you just have to walk away. But very often the path will show up, and then you also need a bit of boldness to walk through, because sometimes you are walking the path that nobody walked before. You have to find your own way, and it's little bits different, but it'll take you where you want to go. So yeah,
So,
it's been like something that's very challenging, and you wonder like, okay, I'm not sure what I'm doing, but this seems like the right thing to do. This is the way to overcome this problem. Let's do it.
It's inspiring actually, Nicolina, to hear that you have navigate that and you solve all of this kind of let's call them problem that you met along your professional way. But I actually know that you once you overcome all of this, you had great success because I you told me just before we start that you kick off a new business during the last weeks. So let's share with us your success story also in this sense. Let's inspire because you are the role model for the youth, for the new generation of the girl that
Thank
want
you.
to be involved in this field.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we just opened new gaming studio. It was mid-April. It's called Santona Games. Santona is actually ancient goddess of the area where we live, and
Oh.
she was the head goddess, and she, besides other things, she was also the patron of travelers. So we all co-founders, we feel a little bit like travelers. So we're like, okay, this is appropriate to carry her name. And then the ancient Liburnians who lived here was a matriarchy. And as our management is mostly female, we feel that's appropriate as well to carry the name.
definitely. Yes.
It's others. But yeah, I mean, I have to say that I did manage to have a good corporate career. That I was head of production in Rovio, and I ran production in Next Games. Um, as a consultant, I worked with some of the top studios in the world, and not only in Europe. I had my own gaming studio in Finland for a while. At our best, we managed to employ about 30 people, had collaboration with Eastside Games. Um, and now we open another studio here in Croatia. And I think that it's a combination, it's a Croatian company and it's a combination of Croatian and international know-how. We brought some of the most experienced people in the industry to work with us.
Wow.
Oh, sorry, that's my cats.
No problem.
And we are actually making games, commercial games for women as well. And we found some local support that there is strong support in the local community, but also with the local angel investors and VCs who want to support us on our journey. So it can be done. Um, but takes a little. And of course, I have to say, we opened in April and we were planning it for over a year. So it was happening, behind the scenes. We talked about it and did some plans and discussions for a long time. Um, so it's with every failure, there's a lesson that you can take into something new and build it up. Uh, and it's important when you fail not to take it as it's the doomsday, it's the end of everything. It's just another lesson on your journey and it helps
Absolutely.
you improve. It helps you improve. So every time when you do something again, you will do it better. Because this is how we learn as humans.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's a mix of everything. And people just think that successful careers look like a hockey stick, like they go straight up. But it's more like this messy, going up and down, left and right exploration before you get where you really want to go, because that's the best way how to learn and develop as a professional as well, because you also learn different aspects about yourself or how to lead better, how to build better. So we are very excited about this new endeavor and we hope it's going to be very successful. We are trying to replicate the success of Rovio here in Croatia, try to make it big. To see how it's going to go. It's still early to say, but fingers crossed. Yes.
Absolutely. Finger crossed for you and your company. Absolutely.
Thank you.
I think it's gonna be a great success because considering everything that you have done until now and your brilliant expertise, I mean, I'm super sure, and also because the management is female management, so I think that things all the problem that you will incur during your this new journey, they will be overcome very very well. And so this bring me actually in the new question I want to ask you, Nikolina. We talking about female management, female company, and role models in the game industry, but why do you think women are needed in this industry, in the gaming industry?
Simply because we make majority of the gamers.
Hmm.
It's women who now took over and we play as much as men and on some platforms like mobile even more. How can you make a good product if you don't include somebody who has deeper understanding of the target audience?
Yeah.
Um, to me, it seems like if you make a product which is exclusively for men, maybe if you have a team with zero men, would be a little bit strange. So, but we take it as granted in the games, and so very often people ask me, when I have mixed teams and I have like lots of women and non-binary people in my team, they're like, "Is this on purpose?" Nobody's asking these male founders, is this
Mm.
on purpose? So it's really important that we have representatives of the people who actually also consumers of our product, people who play games, to be involved in a creative process, because then you have this really deeper understanding of like what you're making, for whom are you making it. Because gaming industry is not about celebrity game designer who knows everything. It's about creating engaging entertainment and experiences for the people who play games. And that's why we need to have not only more women in games, but more non-binary people. We should have more people from LGBTQ community. We should have people from different cultures, from different social standing, because it helps us understand how to make better games for everybody. These are, like, in the 1990s, games were more locked in. You could only play them on a PC or consoles, which were not that easy to find. Today, everybody's a gamer. If you have even basic phone, you are a gamer.
Yes.
And who makes games for these people? So I think that it's really, really important that we have people from all backgrounds making games, because it should reflect the market as well. So that we really, and of course, I think it's very narrow minded that you lock yourself out from creativity and talent and input from the big group of people, because you are losing out. The players are losing out, the business is losing out, because if you don't hire more women and you don't hire more people who are, let's say, not your typical game developer, what we perceive as typical game developer, you're cutting yourself off from uh, different opinions, points of view, different data points to make better decisions. So I think it's really important that we have more women in the industry, and not only on junior level. We should have more women in all levels of gaming industry, because we very often forget. We talk about it's important to get women in the industry. It's important to support women to go to the top ranks of the gaming industry. We should have more female and other executives as well. We should have more board members. We should have more female VCs. We should have more female investors. We should have more female product managers. Because even when you see, like, there's maybe 25% of women in the gaming industry, but when you really dig the surface, lots of them are in supportive roles, in marketing, in HR, in accounting. These are super important roles. You
Yeah.
can't run a team without.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but how many women decision makers we have? How many women make decisions on the products? How many women are making technical decisions? And here we see that women very often don't go much further from the junior, or let's say non-managerial level, and we need to change that.
Mm. So, in somehow, women's role in the tech industry tends to stuck at the juniors.
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
yeah,
So,
yeah. And if you become a senior, the burden becomes so difficult that lots of women decide just to leave, because the bias is even more. The higher you go, the more bias you face. So you kind of have to almost prove yourself every day, and that's a hard place to be. Or you're put in a position, as we call it, the glass cliff. That you are promoted in a managerial role only when the situation is so dire and so hopeless. Then they put a woman in charge because, well, you save it because. Uh, and then, of course, it looks like this female executive is not competent, but she was put in a situation which is impossible to solve. And very often, some women will manage to solve this unsolvable situation, but then they don't get the credit for it. And I think that's one of the problems. It's not about only first step getting women in the industry. There's this second step that's missing. How do we support them to climb up, to rise up, and to actually reach the roles where they can make decisions and really put inputs into how studios are run, how games are made, the strategies, the planning? It's very little of us out there.
yeah, yeah. I agree with everything that you said, but I also would like to highlight the fact that this is true for many industry, not
Mm.
just gaming. So women are still underrepresented in many other industries. So this is something that should be changed from the stream. Let's say it's a mindset that has to be
Mm.
changed. And you also talked about top management roles, decision making roles that are still uncovered in the game industry from women or young women or even from seniors, professionals, women. Um, but um, my point at this point, I would like to ask you if you have suggestion for young girl that wants to approach the world of the gaming. I know that, for example, in gaming and the STEM, we are talking about gaming. Let's stick with
Yeah.
that. So in the gaming field, there is not just the programmer that create the coding for the gamers. But there are so many other roles that can be covered. For example, storytelling. I know for a specific company that actually it's looking for a new, not invented yet profession that is, they are looking for someone able to create a story for gaming from books. So take a
Hmm.
book and they are looking for someone able with these competences of cut it in different pieces, cut the stories in different pieces and put them together in order to create a game on that book. So we know that there are so many roles that can be covered in this field. So, what is your suggestion for young girls that want to approach the world of gaming?
I have a different approach. My saying is don't settle. If you want to be a coder, be a coder. Women invented coding. We invented software. It was Ada Lovelace, not Adam Lovelace, who invented it. We have a talent, knowledge, skill. We are born to be coders. If somebody has predisposition to be a developer, because I over here, women just don't have brain for it. They have more brain for it than men. Until 80s, most of the women, coders were mostly women. So if you want to be a coder, if you want to be technical artist, if you want to do product manager, do it. You can do it. If you have interest for it, learn. There's lots of education out there. There's universities who have great programs, but also online courses, books, so they're for free. Learn it and be encouraged to do it. If you want to do narrative, do narrative. If you want to do art, do art. But there's no profession that should not be accessible to women. We are not better in narrative. We are
Absolutely.
we have talent for everything. So don't of course, it might be a bit easier to get a position as an artist as a woman, or it might be easier to get a position as, let's say, maybe player support. But go for what interests you. Go for game design. Women are fantastic game designers. And it might be harder. You might have to fight harder, but just see it as a way the harder you fight, the more you learn, the better you're getting. You're going to become invincible uh, and there are people there supporting you and rooting for you. There are organizations like Women in Games, which are super supportive to women and other people, non-binary people, transgender people who are trying to get into the industry. Find your network of support, find your network of peer support, and don't settle. Don't settle. Go for what you want. And don't let anybody tell you it's impossible. Everything is possible. Only you can stop yourself. Just go for it. And take every disappointment like, okay, I learned something. Uh, Take what you can out of it and build up on it. Take some time to breathe, to recover, and then take those, building stones and go for it. And I think that's a little bit of a problem because we tell women to settle. Don't. Don't settle. It's hard to be always, on this fighting mode, but there is that pot of gold at the end of, under the rainbow at the end. And it's worth the journey and it's worth to live the life and your career and your terms. I don't let anybody discourage you or dampen down your ambition. I remember a story, it's maybe like not too long, but when I started my first business, in Finland, and I had a male advisor, and I had a great ambitions because I worked on Angry Birds. I worked
Yeah.
on free-to-play games that made millions, and then he told me that I'm too ambitious and I should make games for Finnish kindergartens.
Oh,
I was like, I don't want to make games for Finnish kindergartens. I'm the person who worked on a huge IPs. I make millions for big corporations. Why would I settle for something that I don't even have interest in? And then they look at me like, you are ungrateful. I was like, no, I'm just ambitious. There's nothing wrong with being ambitious. I,
absolutely.
th- I think we should nourish our own ambition, and it's up to us to decide when we reached enough. No, so not when somebody else tells you. So find your tribe, find your support group in your family, circle of friends, find new friends who will support you, and the organizations which are out there which can give you this support and encouraging words when you need a little bit of a boost, because like I hope that it's going to be easier and better for the new generations coming into the gaming industry, but it's still a little bit tough. So we still all need a little bit of encouragement. There's still, we still get bad days. So um, find the people who will support you and raise you up and feed your ambition rather than dampen it. That's that's my message.
Well, Nicolene, I think your message is super, super valuable lessons for everyone that would like to take not only this kind of professional path in gaming industry, but generally speaking in life. But I understand for this specific field, you must have more. You must have more. So thank you very much, Nicolina. I think we are perfect in timing. Thank you for sharing your story with us today. If you want to say something, just to close up the interview, I will give the floor to you for the last sentence for our girls. The very, very first,
Yeah, thank you.
the very, very, very last one.
Yeah, so thank you all very much. And so I know I might sound a little bit, too, I come across as too strong, but I also want to say that women come in all shapes and forms. Some are a bit more quiet, some of them must have softer approach, some us are louder and more going for it. And all of us are valid. All of us deserve the place in our industry. Our industry is better for having us. And please nourish your dreams, dream big, um, and don't let anybody discourage you in your dreams. You can achieve everything you set your mind on, even if you will meet some bumps on the road, but problems can be overcome. So I wish you the best, and I wish to encourage everybody who is interested in making games to consider coming to the gaming industry, because also I work in quite a few, and even it has its own challenges, it's a great industry to work with lots of rewards and lots of positive things. So please give it a chance. Go for it. That's it.
Thank you, Nicolina. I think this is super inspiring for the new generation of girls that's like to have this career in their future. So start now. Dream big. For
Yeah.
me, it was a truly inspiring story, and also heard about your journey from your childhood curiosity, and then you become a leader and change maker in this gaming industry. So also, I would like to add that you have shown that there is no one right way to enter this field. So, but you need passion, resilience, and of course, creativity. And
Yes.
this will take you very, very far, as you showed with your story. So
Yes.
I think at this point we can close here. We can wrap up. And so, Nicolina, thank you again for your time and for your honesty. And it was a pleasure for me having you on this podcast. And at this point, the last message for our listeners. So if you enjoyed this episode, and I think so, don't forget to check out the other series where we spotlight more women making waves in the gaming world. And so at this point, I'll see you next time. See you.
Bye bye.